Okay, I'm back. So this is, I wanted just to show you a couple things in your homework 3, which is 1.2, section 1.2 graphing. And what you're doing is you're going to be using a new tool in My Math Lab. So I wanted to make sure that you understood how to use it, how to get to it, all of that. With the graphing, it's a little bit more difficult to see the whole picture when you're going into your My Math Lab through Canvas. So let me show you an easier way to open up, excuse me, to open up your homework. So let me show you what I mean by that. So when we get into graphing, oops, sorry, I need to share my screen. That might be helpful. Okay, so when you get into graphing, a lot of times what happens is when I go into the homework through the Canvas, right? So if you're in your modules, let me do it this way. When you're in your modules, and you can close down the module if you don't want to see it anymore. Okay, so we're in module 2. So this is your homework for section 1.2, homework 3. So when I open it in My Math Lab, when I open it in Canvas, you can see that when I open up the question, your screen is pretty small, right? It's a little bit harder. You can't see the entire graph, in your screen, and it's kind of annoying. So what I like to do is go back into your Canvas and open your My Math Lab from here. So when you open up Alamo Books, and then you're going to launch your courseware. Now yours is going to look a little bit different just because of, this is the teacher version. So when you open it up, your Alamo Books, you're only going to see student links. Okay, that's all you're going to see is your student links. So what I want you to do is I want you to click on your My Lab and Mastering course home. Okay, and this is how you get into the review also. I'll show you that real quick. So this is your course home. If you go into the grade book, okay, and I just sent out a notice on that. When you go into the grade book, all of your homeworks that are completed are here. When you click on review, you can review any homework you have, any homework that you've done, any quiz that you've done, any tests that you've done. So that's how you review, is you get into your Alamo Books and you open the grade book. Now, as far as the assignments go, to try and open it up so it's in a bigger screen, when I open up section homework 3, which is what we were just looking at, and I open up, let's say, question 4, now I have a way of making my graph bigger. See how it fills up the whole page, and I can make it even bigger. It fills up the whole page, and I have access to all the tools, which makes it real nice. Otherwise, it's going to be real frustrating because you're going to have to move it and you won't be able to see the whole thing. So when you are in your My Math Lab, open it up through the Alamo Books, launch courseware, and then open your assignments from there, and it'll open the whole screen. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to show you a couple things. One, just real quick, how to use the graphing tool. It's not as hard as it sounds. So remember, you can always make your graph bigger with this button right here, or you can click to enlarge your graph, and then you can move it over. So as soon as you click to enlarge your graph, what it does is it opens up all the tools. So these are all the graphing tools that you need. This button right here makes your line solid. All right, so in this case, since you have an equal sign, you're going to have a solid. When we get into chapter 5, you're going to have an inequality sign, and you might have like a less than sign or a greater than sign. So this button here makes it dashed. So let me give you let me show you what that looks like. So when it's dashed, see how it's dashed? But when I click on solid, you can see how the line, let's see if it's going to work for me, how the line is solid. See how it's solid? So solid is what we want. Okay, so we're going to clear it now. Okay, so again, what I'm doing, and you can move this so that it's out of the way so you can see your linear equation. So when you're graphing with a linear equation in the slope intercept form, that y equals mx plus b, you're always going to start, get my pencil here, you're always going to start with the y-intercept. That's always your starting point when it's in y equals mx plus b. The reason is because that's where your line crosses the y-axis. So now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to make sure that I have a solid line, and then I have to pick up the line tool. So this one with the little 2 dots is your line tool. Right now it's on the arrow, so I can move it and you see the arrow. As soon as I pick up the line tool and move it over here, you see how the button, it moves around. Also notice up here in the yellow line, the yellow highlighted area, do you see the ordered pair? That is telling you the address of where I have my point. So right now my point is at x is 4, y is 6. If I move it down here, now I'm at the point 2, 1. Over here, 3, 1, right here, right on the y-axis, 0, 4. So it gives you the address. So that allows you to be able to go, okay, I know exactly where my tool is. So the first point is I'm going to come over here and put it on the y equals -3. So again, look at your address. It's at the point 0, -3. And I'm going to click once. Then I'm going to do my slope. Well, my slope is negative. Get my pencil again. Use this. So now my slope is right here, right? Slope is always next to the x. So my slope is from this point, from my y-intercept, I'm going to rise 3, and I'm going to run to the negative side because it's a negative slope. So I'm going to run 2. Okay, and I click. Notice the line is yellow. What that means is that it's not set. I have to move my cursor, click again, and it becomes blue. Now it's set. So let me show you one more time. Okay, so I start at -3, make sure my line is solid, come up, pick up the line tool. I'm going to put my cursor down here at 0, -3. So if I make a mistake and have it down here, you can see the address. It's at 0, -4. I know that's incorrect. I want it at 0, -3. Click once. I rise 3 steps. I run to the negative side 2, click, it's yellow. I move my cursor off, click again, it's blue, and now it's set, and I hit save. Okay, and then I check my answer. There we go. Now, if I want to do a similar question, okay, similar questions means I get to practice more and more and more, changes the values. Okay, so I come over here, click to enlarge, it opens up all the tools. My y-intercept is at +3. So I make sure I have a solid line, pick up the line tool. I come up here to +3. So my point address is at 0, 3. I click. From here, I'm going to rise 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to run to the positive side 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I look at my point. So I rose 3 and I ran 7. I click, it's yellow. I click again, it's blue. I save it and I check my answer. There we go. Okay, so that's when you have a question in slope intercept form. Okay, now how do we do it when we have it in standard form? So remember, standard form means that the x and the y are on the same side of the equal sign. All right, so this is what I call the intercept method or the cover-up method. The reason why I call it the cover-up method is because I cover one of the terms up, solve for the other, then I cover the other term up, solve for the first one. So let me show you how that works. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cover up, and it doesn't matter which one you cover up first. So I've covered up my x term. So what I end up with, the equation that I end up with is negative 6y equals 24. Now, when I cover this up, what I'm saying is my x is 0. When you cover it up, it means that term goes to 0. So my y term, when I solve for y, is going to be negative 4. So that is my y-intercept because I'm solving for y. So this is my y-intercept. Then I'm going to cover up the other term. Okay, so now my y value is 0. And now I can solve for x. Divide both sides by 8, and I get x equals 3. So my x-intercept is 3. Now I have 2 points. That's all a line needs, is 2 points. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click on my graph. I'm going to move this over so I can see it. I'm going to make sure I have a solid line. I'm going to pick up my line tool, and I'm going to put a point at 0, negative 4. Do you see the address in the yellow? Now, if I got mixed up and I put it up here, I can see, oh, that's the wrong one. That's positive 4. I want it at negative 4. Then I come over here, and on my x, I put a point at 3, 0. Again, look at your address. Don't get confused. Don't get, where it slips out of your hands. And it does get easier to use. So there's my 2 points. The line is yellow. I click again. The line is blue, which means it's set. I save it, and I check my answer. There we go. And I'm going to do another one. I want to try it again. Let me erase everything. Okay. So I'm going to go back to number 3 because I want to try it again, right? I want to do a similar exercise. So remember, you can do as many as you want of those similar exercises. So it's in standard form. So I notice that first. I'm going to cover up, and I've always done it the same way. I always cover up the x first. So what that tells me is my x is 0. So my equation is negative 6y equals 6, divide by negative 6. And I get y equals negative 1. So my y-intercept is negative 1. Now I'm going to cover up the other term. And now that makes my y 0. So I have 3x equals 6, divide both sides by 3, and I get x equals 2. So my x-intercept is at 2, 0. So again, this is the x-intercept, and this is the y-intercept. Okay, so when I graph it, again, I pick up my tool, move my thing over so I can see it. I pick up my tool, I make sure that it's a solid line. I pick up the line tool, I put a point at 0, negative 1, and I always notice that the address is correct. I come over here, I put a point at 2, 0. It's yellow. I click again. It's blue, which means it's set. And I hit save, and then I check my answer. And that's it. That's how you're going to use the graphing tool. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be glad to make a video for you. All right. See you next time.